Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Do you guys know what this thing is? It's called a farmhouse style sink. I never heard of one prior to about 2 years ago. They are all the rage. This is the sink that your wife is drooling over. She wants it. I'm going to build a custom cabinet to house this thing. Some of you may be new to this, but others may not be new to this, because you got the wife that keeps sending you the pins that said that she wants this in her new kitchen. It's got the cutting board, this drying thing here, this other colander looking thing. So you can take your cutting board out, your drying rack, this thing, and you have a really nice deep, I believe this one's 9 inches deep. You can almost get inside of here and take a bath. There are a lot of ways to make lower kitchen cabinets. The method I'm going to use maximizes the wood that you can get out of a 4x8 sheet of plywood. So I'll be building boxes, like upper boxes, and then little bases. That's where you're going to get your toe kick, that cavity that goes in. This is the paste wax. It's what I'm putting on my workbench, table saw top, and the extension over there. I actually went with 220, then 320, then tacked it off with mineral spirits, dried it, let it sit, make sure that all evaporates off. And now it's time to hit it up with some of this. I'm going to try to explain how I plan to cut this up. This here is a profile of a lower kitchen cabinet, not to scale. The total height is 34.5. The front to back is 23.25. When you put your 3/4 inch face frame on, that makes it 24 inches. If we have this section here, 30.5 inches, and this section down here, 4 inches, that gives us our 34.5 inches. Now it's very common to cut this shape out for your end pieces. It's also very common to just make this 30.5 by 23.5 inch box and then make another little box for your base. This way here creates less waste, and that's why I'm gonna make this specific cabinet this way. In the future, since this is part of a full kitchen, I may just show you how I cut out the whole side profile and make a cabinet that way. This first one, we're going like this. We're going to make cross cuts, 30.5, 30.5, 30.5. That will leave us with 4.5 inches left over. We only need 4. So this 1/2 inch is going to be the thickness of the saw blade when we make 1, 2, and 3 cuts. We'll have a little bit extra. My saw blade it's a thin kerf blade, so it's not going to remove that much material, but will be within this 0.5, this 1/2 inch, to account for the saw blade thickness. When using this track saw, you got to make sure you have it on the right side of the line. You're cutting on the right side. Typically, when you buy a saw, the factory blade that comes on it is pretty cheap, and you'll always upgrade. But I wanted to show you how good the cut is with the factory blade right as it came out of the box. These are all my 30.5s. Now they're going to get cut to 23.25, so that when I screw on a 3/4 inch face frame, the depth is 24 inches. Now these 6 pieces of plywood are all exactly the same. They're perfect. I'm only going to deal with 2 of these, so I'm going to put the other 4 in the other room. This stage in the game, you have to decide which method you're going to use to build these cabinets. Traditionally, you use either a rabbet or a dado. You glue it and then staple it. New method. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You just have to drill pocket holes with your pocket hole jig. You would have a screw, several screws that go in like that. And then you're going to have a few pieces in the back. And you will have a back panel also, a 1/4 inch back panel. Which method would you use? Rabbets, dados, pocket holes. The standard height for a kitchen base cabinet is 34.5 inches. These here are standard kitchen cabinets that I took out of a house. And they're now in my workshop. So this is kind of a good way to demonstrate my next cuts. The cabinet base that this is going to sit on has to be reduced in size by the depth of this this front apron here, which is 10 inches. So try to visualize that this apron is going to be down here. So I got to cut these sides down 10 inches. So what I got here is the bottom 1/2 inch, the back 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch side, 3/4 inch side. It's going to make the main box. So what you're going to see. Now I got some wood over there. I'm going to make another little box that's smaller that goes underneath it. Basically, the carcass is complete. I have all my pocket holes marked out. Kind of held it together. Said, okay, this is where the pocket holes need to go. Have everything set up for 1/2 inch. So I'm going to drill the bottom, pocket holes through the bottom, the back, pocket holes through the back. Then I will switch it, the setting, the drill bit, and the jig to 3/4 inch. And I have to drill pocket holes on the outside that in the future will be screwing the face frame onto the box. You need to get that attachment that vacuums as you drill. There it is, the carcass. Now there will be a face frame that goes around here that will give extra strength to the front part of this. But that's how it goes. It sits proud of the actual cabinets. Probably bring this out a good bit. You have a whole bunch of room to work with on the side here. This much room to work with 3/4 inch face frame, and then you got your thickness of your doors, so this will probably go out a whole nother inch. And the countertop sits on here. There's a lot of room along the back for your faucet hole to go in, and you'll get to see this come together. I gotta call it a night and go inside and eat some dinner. Here's the big test to see if I did all my measurements correctly. And I swear, you cannot get closer to 34.5 inches than that. Same on this side.